of the Kettle USA Daily Podcast. Today, we are welcoming back Gary Lezak with the Weather 2020 team. And we are talking all things weather today. You guys know the drill at this point. Fridays, we are talking weather with Gary. So today we are talking all things the Weather 2020 Dashboard, Global Predictor, what we are seeing for the rest of this next month. August and July, Gary mentions they kind of are our wild card months as far as predictions go. And so he discusses that a little bit. And then we go into what we are going to be seeing for fall harvest and just fall calving season, what we can anticipate and expect over the next few months. So without further ado, let's go ahead and hop into this episode with Gary.
Good morning.
Good morning. How are you?
Fantastic. I hope you're doing great. How are you doing?
I'm doing phenomenal. It is a gorgeous day here in Kansas, maybe a little bit on the warm side, but it's still gorgeous nonetheless. We're in the blue skies. I'm loving it. I'm loving
Well, the
it.
blue
It's
sky
amazing.
part of the pattern starts right now.
Right now. Yeah.
So this is airing on Friday. So this
Yes.
is actually this 3-day stretch. High pressure is building in, cooler air is spreading across. If you remember earlier this summer, 40 days ago or so, we had thunderstorms, and then all of a sudden it was dry. Some areas were too dry, and if 80 days ago, 2 cycles ago, they were too dry, but it was cool.
Yeah.
It's one thing to be dry and hot. It's another thing to be dry and cool, because now, after all the rain we've had, this is going to be great for the corn, the soybeans, for all the crops out there. And we're on Cattle USA. Cattle producers, they're told to rely on seasonal climate outlooks, but we get specifics. So they're not used to getting a week by week analysis that we can do through our dashboard, and through the global predictor. And so while they give you 30 to 90-day outlooks that are broad, we give you specifics, and it allows us to really get into, like, for cattle, I don't know, do they call them grazing rotations? Is that what they call them?
Yeah. That's actually the correct terminology there. So
Wow.
if people like rotational graze is what it's called. It's one of the land management practices.
Right.
So, yes.
And the hay storage and everything is like, it's really been ideal conditions, and we predicted it. I mean, if you've been listening to this podcast from the beginning a few months ago through this whole season, we asked, is there going to be a drought? And we talked about droughts are either shrinking or growing. This one was shrinking. As soon as we got into the spring, it was shrinking all winter, and continued to shrink. And just when you thought there may be a drought development, boom, it rains. And it's been, I think almost, I'd say 90% of the agriculture belt from eastern Colorado to Ohio and from North Dakota down to Texas, 90% has now had timely rain, significant rain, occasional drought stress. And once you have the drought stress, it ends by having the timely rains. And the thing is, it's not just happening. Now, for the first time ever, you can plan and prepare for it. That's what Weather 2020 is doing. And any farmers who have noticed that out there, I would love to hear some feedback from them to get some testimonials, because I'm not just saying this. I know this has just happened. And it's the 4th year in a row we have predicted the agricultural belt, the corn yield predictions, basically, almost. But it's the 4th year in a row we've gotten the forecast right for farmers. And this includes one of those years that was a drought that would be likely, and it was not going to end. About 4 years ago, we predicted that. So what is next year going to be? The exciting thing is 2 months from right now, it's July, it's August 1st when this comes out.
When this comes out, yep.
So 2 months from today, on October 1st, the new LRC will be just about starting. The pattern we're in now is fading away. The new pattern begins. And we'll talk about that, but we'll take you through that. It's just so exciting.
Yes, it is very exciting. And it's just been so fun over the past, gosh, however many months you and I have been doing these episodes. I need to go back to our first one and see actually when we started so that we know how long we've been doing it. But it's been a long time. We've been chatting every Friday for a really long time. Well, I guess now we're on Wednesdays, but whatever. Every single week for a really long time now and talking about these things. And it's so fun to be able to see it come to fruition, even if it's not exactly how we want it to come to fruition. I mean, this year's been great. We've been loving the timely rains and everything like that, and the shrinking drought that we were discussing. And it's fun to be able to sit back and say, this is what we talked about, and see it come into fruition. And then sit here now at the start of August, end of July, and be able to talk about fall and what is going to be happening there. And as people prepare for harvest and fall calving and everything like that, what is that looking like for everyone? It's really fun to be able to sit back and do that.
And what's amazing is that it's the same pattern. That's the whole thing. Remember what the LRC is. If you're new to this, or you're hearing it for the third time or fifth time or 10th time, the reason I'm going to tell you another 100 times is because it's a discovery in science, a scientific discovery that we are studying and learning. And it's backed by 75 to 80 years of research. Back in the 1940s, the meteorologist's name was Jerome Namias. You can look him up and read about the index cycle. He almost had the LRC, almost had my whole hypothesis and the whole discovery that I've made. He discovered that in November, there's enough information to predict the following winter. Ding, ding, ding. The weather pattern sets up in October, November. That's cycle 1, and it is predicting what's going to happen from then on. You just have to know what exactly it is. 2, he said, anchor ridges and anchor troughs develop. This is where storm systems reach their peak strength most often, anchor troughs, and where storm systems aren't as frequent and they're weaker usually near anchor ridges. Now, near an anchor ridge, you might get 5 or 6 storm systems, and near an anchor trough, you might get 12. And near an anchor ridge, one of those 5 or 6 could be real powerful, but the others won't be, and you'll struggle for moisture. And near the anchor troughs, you might get the 10 to 12 storm systems, and a few of them will be stronger, and it's more likely to be wet and stormy. So ding, 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 Jerome Namias discovered this in the 90s. And then he said this thing called the index cycle, he called it the index cycle, sets up and it lasts a few weeks at a time. And ding, 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 the LRC. This year's cycle is about 41 days, about 6 weeks. Last year was about 6.5 weeks. The year before that was more than 7 weeks. There was even a cycle length almost 9 weeks long about 4 years ago. What will next year be? But what Jerome Namias never, ever put over the top, and that's what the LRC is that it's not just anchor troughs and anchor ridges form. It's not that an index cycle sets up. This year's cycle is about 41 days, 38 to 44 days and oscillating. It's that entire cycle repeats over and over and over again, and that's how we're able to predict the weather. All right, so some people think it's just coincidence when, a place gets a flood and then they get another flood 6 weeks later. It's not, it's predictable, and that's what we do.
1,000%. And it's phenomenal to be able to see. It feels like something that's so obvious, yet it's not. Like, there's a lot of science, there's a lot of everything that goes behind it. And it's fun to be able to sit here, and we could not do this podcast for 4 weeks, and I would still be like, oh, we're in the blue skies part of the pattern. Oh, we're in the XYZ part of the pattern. Oh, we're in the Kansas City blizzard part of the pattern.
That's what we're in. That's what we're just coming out of. Oh, my goodness. No, there's no doubt about it. In fact, earlier this morning, Jeff Penner, my meteorologist best friend, that I met in 1992, and he's married to his wife, Edie. And the reason he's married to his wife, Edie, is because Andy, my partner, introduced Edie to Jeff, because Edie's brother happened to be Andy's best friend. And that's a whole long story that we're not going to talk about today, but that is some interesting details. But anyway, Jeff and Edie have a wonderful son, Skylar. But Jeff Penner. I'm telling you the backstory on Jeff Penner for some reason, but he is an amazing guy, and he's really my best friend. So, but he'll call me in a little while after he wakes up this morning, and we're going to talk about the global predictor because I know I posted it. So I went back and looked at one of my X posts. I'm sure I put it on Facebook too, and on Blue Sky probably also, but most likely on the X post, I found it this morning. It was the prediction for July. And remember, the global predictor, when you see these predictions, they literally are stemming from last October and November. So now when you get a forecast for July on June 1st, it looks like a 2-month forecast or a 1-month forecast, but it's really a 6-month forecast. And so I went to look, what did it have at the end of July? Because I remember, I think I even showed it on TV when I was filling in. It shows low 80s at the end of July, and that's the hottest time of the year. And it had 90s earlier. And I was like, I gotta go back and find that chart that I posted. And there it was. Kansas City, 81 degrees for the high temperature, July 31st. And right now it looks like it's going to be 75, 78 degrees. So the global predictor, which uses the LRC, was accurate. And that's another tool you guys can have for very inexpensive. That's just $5.99 a month. So go download that today. Just go to your app store, get the pro version, and you'll get Christmas forecast right now.
Yes. And speaking of fall and winter, what are our thoughts as we go into the next few months?
As we look into harvest, the same weather pattern is going to continue. We're in the 8th cycle of this year's pattern. The 9th cycle, think about it. When you have a 41-day cycle, 40-day cycle, 9 times 40 is 36. So, 9 times 4 is 360. There's 365 days in a year. So there's like literally room for 9 full cycles. We're going to go into the 9th cycle as we get closer to September. Number one, hurricanes are going to start happening. We're going into about the next 2 to 3 week stretch where there should be 2 to 4 named storms. One will target the central Gulf of Mexico, which means watch out Texas and Louisiana. One will target Florida. One will target the Carolinas. But there's about 4 of our targets that are due in the next 3 weeks. The computer models are still not showing much. So in quiet hurricane seasons, maybe my predictions turn out to be just spinning areas of thunderstorms that don't form into anything. Let's hope that's the case. I don't think so. We're predicting these 4 systems here in the next 1 month. So the very quiet hurricane season is likely about to suddenly become active, but we'll see how that sets up. But as we go into harvest and we go into the 9th cycle, the same weather pattern is going to produce similar results. August and July, for that matter, are usually wild cards. July just producing a lot of rain. August is usually a little bit different than July. It's in a different phase of the cycle, but we still see more good chances of rain and thunderstorms after this high pressure area moves away and the cooler air fades away again. We'll get right back into that ring of fire, chance of thunderstorms in August as well. And then when we get to September, the jet stream starts shifting south and strengthening, and our model is predicting a very wet end of September and still chances of rain earlier in September. So you should continue to get timely rains. And when it gets to harvest, we'll talk more about the week by week analysis, maybe in next week's report, so we can see which weeks, harvest last in October. It could be there could be too wet in some areas for a little while.
Good to know. Good to know. Any other highlights that we need to hit on today, Gary?
No, just enjoy your life. Have a great day. Just don't take things personally for agreements. Don't make assumptions. My gosh, my partner Andy thinks he's going to get fired from his job because he wrote his boss an email just asking him a question, but he hasn't written back. So when the boss doesn't write back, he goes, he's going to fire me. I go, no, he's not. It's an assumption. Number one, he's not going to fire him. Andy's a superstar at his job. Really, he's doing amazing. But that's what goes through people's heads. When you make assumptions, then you're miserable. If you don't make an assumption, even good or bad, okay, it's called suffering. Suffering is a natural thing that we do, but if you don't make assumptions, you'll suffer less.
% For those OGs listening to this, Gary and I talked about that like 4 or 5 months ago now. We talked about, what is it called? It's
the Four Agreements by Don Miguel Ruiz.
Yes, the 4 Agreements. It's a book. Go read it. It's
Yeah.
wonderful. You need it in your life.
We could spend a whole segment on that, but just know what they are. Be impeccable with your word, which is the first one. If you do that one agreement, you'll ultimately start to feel really great about things, because about yourself, about everybody. Be impeccable means without sin. And without sin means don't lie. That's really what it means. Don't lie to yourself and don't lie to others. And then don't make assumptions. Don't take things personally. I have a problem with that. And always be your best. If you have 102 fever, your best might not be so good today, but if you still did your best, you can sleep at night because you did your best.
And I couldn't think of a better way to round out our podcast today, and just a little life motivation for everyone. And a reminder, Gary and I talked a lot about the Global Predictor, the Weather 2020 dashboard today. Make sure you head down to the show notes down below. I have the link for the Global Predictor app where you can go and get that in your app store. Get the pro version. It's literally $5 a month. That is less than a coffee from a gas station most times these days. So go get that app. You will thank yourself later. And then the Weather 2020 dashboard, we have an exclusive Cattle USA partnership link linked down below for you guys as well, with a discount on that. So make sure you go check out all of those things. And if you love Gary as much as everyone else does, I've also got all of Gary's social media links down there. So his X, his Facebook, all the things, so you can keep up to date with all of the most recent weather predictions and things that are going on in the world. So Gary, thank you for your time as always. And to all of you listeners out there, we will catch y'all next time on another episode. Have a good weekend, y'all.